Minimalists do not waste money. They're intentional, purposeful, and mindful with where they're spending money. So we thought we would share the things we personally don't waste money on.
Number one, and it might sound controversial, but it's health supplements. Things like protein powder, creatine, pre-workout, post-workout. There's so many on the market nowadays. So many fad diets and supposed miracle pills or powders, or more recently, the push for more protein. When it comes to the health and fitness industry, there's a lot of scammy information out there. So it pays to be cautious and vigilant of who's trying to sell you something. So much of the time when there's a fit looking bodybuilder selling you a specific pre-workout or protein powder, claiming this made all the difference, it's literally their job to work out and look like that and to sell you a product. Of course they're going to say that this one product made all the difference, when in reality, that's not the case. 90% of the reason why they look like they do is because they literally work out for their job, or they're on steroids.
There's been a lot of research that's come out just recently about protein powders in particular being contaminated with things like lead. And although we're not giving any health advice here, this is just our list of things that we don't waste money on. Health supplements and the like made number one on our list. We eat whole foods as much as possible, and we know what we're putting in our bodies. We choose to spend our money on real solid foods and get protein from our meals. We're all about balance and not cramming as much protein into our diets as we can physically fit through a straw. And it might be some food to think about, even just money-wise, when you consider the sheer amount of money spent on ultra-processed powders in a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Number two, multiple subscriptions to platforms we don't actually use often. We just pause or cancel the subscription services we're not using and keep the ones we do to a minimum. For example, at the moment, we've been watching Outlander for the first time, and that's all we've been watching. So we don't actually need any other subscription service until we finish Outlander. We've mentioned this one before, but we thought it was worth mentioning again because subscriptions can have a way of piling up. And it's good to look across the span of a year how much they're actually accumulating to, especially if you're just not using them.
Another thing we'll mention when it comes to subscriptions, if possible, when there is a service that we genuinely know that we'll love and enjoy and use, we will always pick the option of the pay once option versus reoccurring payments. For example, the editing software that we use to make these videos is DaVinci Resolve instead of Adobe, because there's no ongoing subscription. It's just a one-time lifetime payment and way less than Adobe and way better. With DaVinci, the average user doesn't even need the full paid version. We got along perfectly well with the free version for years before we treated ourselves to the paid version when it got on sale. But again, even that was a pay once only subscription model, which we really appreciate because it seems like nowadays everything is moving to a reoccurring subscription-based model.
It might not seem like much to spend $10 a month for a streaming service, but if you do it over your lifetime and you do that for multiple different streaming services, it really adds up. We don't need multiple subscription platforms with reoccurring payments. It's not something we valued or seen as financially responsible for us personally when there's better ways to spend our money on things that we'll actually use.
Third on our list, trendy home decor. I've talked about this one a few times in our videos because it used to be something that I spent quite a bit of money on. Switching decor in and out of our house, depending on what the latest in the interior design world deemed as in fashion. But after a while, it became tiresome, and I realized I was spending more time hunting down trendy home decor, shopping for it, rearranging it, dusting it, donating it, than I was actually enjoying it. There's nothing wrong with beautiful pieces in your home. If you love it, then by all means get it. But it's more so about collecting the things you might not actually love because you feel like you should have it, or you want to fit in or look the part. Those are the kind of pieces not worth spending money on. They're the dust collectors that don't bring you any real value. Finding pieces that you love and keeping things simple is our approach now when it comes to furnishing or decorating our house, and we keep it to timeless pieces that we know we'll personally love for years and years to come. So this one made it to our list, and we've saved quite a lot of money by reining this one in since becoming COZY Minimalists.
Next one on our list of things we don't waste our money on, tech upgrades for the sake of upgrading. We're in an age where technological advancement comes in leaps and bounds every year, and the phone you bought last year has already been replaced by the latest and greatest tech a week after it was released. Personally, we don't upgrade our tech until it's absolutely necessary, until its faults or limitations are actually worth upgrading, or if there's a huge leap in quality of life or ease of use we'll know we'll receive.
Things like phones are updating and changing all the time, and it's simply too expensive, not to mention environmentally devastating, to always upgrade to the latest and greatest. Josh and I basically drive our phones into the ground before considering upgrading, and same for our laptops. That's not to say we don't have nice tech, because we do, but we absolutely don't spend top dollar every single time there's a new technological advancement that only slightly improves on its previous iteration.
We're mindful of the financial and environmental cost of e-waste and will only upgrade when the pros outweigh the cons. If more people treated tech upgrades with a careful consideration and mindfulness that it deserves, we wouldn't be facing as dire a situation environmentally as we are today.
Fifth on our list of things we don't waste money on, brand name groceries. It's no secret that Josh and I love Aldi. We buy 99% of our groceries there, so we clearly don't care about brand names on our food. As long as it's fresh and healthy, a lot of the time there's no need to buy the brand name over the generic. Apples are apples. The ones that our local Aldi sell are the local apples from our region. We actually went apple picking to the Lenswood apple farms recently, and we can confirm they are exactly the same Pink Lady apples that our Aldi sell, and the same ones that Woolworths and Coles and Foodland sell, but at a much higher markup.
A while ago, I saw online someone took a photo of the outrageous price of cashews. And cashews is something we buy frequently, but we buy the generic cashews. The same cashews they were buying, just with a different label on it. A lot of the time you're paying for the marketing. It's from the same farm, the same supplier, just with a different package and branding. When it comes to something like food, it's an ongoing, never-ending cost, and paying top dollar for someone's marketing never really made a lot of sense to us. We're fortunate enough to eat really well, and buying brand name groceries has nothing to do with that. As long as you're eating a balanced, well-rounded diet with whole foods, fruits, and vegetables, it really shouldn't matter the colors of the packaging or the name of the brand. So that's one thing we do not waste money on, brand name groceries.
Another thing we don't waste money on, and this one might seem a little controversial, but it's a financial advisor. We're not talking about accountants or tax specialists here. We're talking about individual, private financial advisors. For the average person, I think having someone telling you where to put your own money, it can actually distance you from being in charge of your own money. In fact, a lot of the time, spending money on someone to tell you what to do with your own money and where to put it can be risky. There's so much potential to lose hard-earned money if you're not across what they're saying. No one cares about your money or your life as much as you do. So it's important to learn the fundamentals about money, and to be completely honest, if you read 2 to 3 reputable books on financial literacy, you'll learn more than the majority of people who don't know how to make their money work for them.
Financial literacy isn't something taught in schools very well, and so many of us are brought up to think it's rude or impolite to talk about money, or that it should be someone's entire job, even when it's your own money. We're not saying not to get advice, especially if it's from someone legitimate like a tax accountant, but we personally don't offload our management of our money to someone else. Again, this list is what we personally do in our own lives, and definitely none of this is financial advice. We just thought it's worth mentioning how important it is to be across where your money is going, and never fully leave the management of it in someone else's hands. Second to last on our list of things we don't spend money on personally, unplanned takeout. We never not have something to eat at home as a ready-made home meal, but that wasn't always the case. When I was working as an engineer and Jess was working as a project manager, both working in the city with our busy jobs, we weren't mindful with where our money was going in those early years of us working 9-to-5 office jobs, and we would eat out all the time. We wouldn't plan dinners ahead, and we would just spontaneously go out, and it got really expensive.
Now, we're not saying we don't ever eat out, because we do, but when we do, it's always planned and intentional, and it becomes something that we both really look forward to because it's more special, because it's infrequent. It's also healthier and saves a lot of money. We no longer waste money on thoughtless takeout trips, and nowadays we actually tend to eat 99% of all our meals at home, unless it's a special occasion or we're catching up with a friend or family members for birthdays or other special occasions. We actually find so much enjoyment making home cooked meals and putting our money into more worthwhile and more mindful areas of our life instead of fast food takeout.
Last on our list for today of the things we don't waste money on, short-lived plastic. This encompasses many things, from plastic cutting boards to buying non-stick pans and plastic grocery bags. There's so many recent studies coming out about the horrible impact PFAS and microplastic are having on the human body, and they're laden in things usually built for convenience in our busy world, like non-stick cookware. We swapped over to glass and wooden cutting boards instead of the plastic ones that chip away and need replacing every couple of years. And we swapped out our old and dying non-stick pots and pans for stainless steel and cast iron. It's taken a bit of getting used to, but there's definitely no way we'd ever go back. The feeling of, I'm so glad I'm not cooking harmful microplastics into my food or releasing them into the air of our home is wonderful. And it's great knowing when we're buying something, it's after a lot of research and knowing it'll actually last. So where possible, we try and buy the longer lasting item, even if it's more upfront cost, because in the long term, it nearly always ends up being more cost effective because you don't need to replace them after a few years.
On the topic of short-lived plastic, there's also the drive for us to cut down on as much single-use plastic as possible. In our home state of South Australia, the government has actually even made it illegal to have single-use plastic items like straws and plastic grocery bags, which we think is a fantastic start. Single-use plastic is definitely something we avoid wherever we can because it's such a waste for the environment. However, I will say the one exception we do have for this is when preparing home-cooked meals for friends or family who are brand new parents, because there's a time and place for everything, and doing mountains of dishes, keeping track of whose is whose, is just not realistic or useful for that phase of life. So just like everything on this list of ours, balance and context is key. And in general, we don't spend our money on things like short-lived plastic where it can be avoided. A lot of the time it is a waste of money, but sometimes in the right context, it can absolutely be worth being nuanced. And that's what I guess we want to leave you with. Our list from today is ours. It's what we personally don't spend our money on, and we hope it serves as a thoughtful insight to the kinds of choices and lifestyle we live, because it's good to see what others are doing, how they save their money, what their thought process is on certain things. So we hope our list today has spiked a thought or question and gotten you thinking about ways you might even be able to save money or help the environment.
If you like this video, you'll probably also really like this one, where we chat about all the other types of purchases we don't make as fellow minimalists.
Thanks so much for watching. If you're still here at this point in the video, then you're one of the real ones. Thank you so much for being here. We love making videos about minimalism, saving money, and all things simple living. So subscribe if you haven't already, give it a like, and we will see you next time. Bye. You hungry?
Getting there.
You want lasagna?
I do. We can go get some lasagna.
Lasagna. Lasagna. Lasagna. Not to mention environmentally devastating.